Gracious Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for this opportunity to be here today. We want to thank you for the men and women that protect our freedom and keep us safe from harm. We ask that you be with us today, that we use great judgment and wisdom and do the best things we can for the city of Muleshoe. We thank you for this community, and we ask that you watch over it and keep us all safe. And we just thank you for everything you do in our lives, and we thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Let the record show that we have a quorum. And Councilman Parker, allegiance to the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. It is at this time in our meeting that we're always glad to welcome visitors and receive public comment. And we have some visitors tonight that we would like to say thank you to. We have Alma, and we have Anna Mendoza. Anna?
Alina.
Okay. I'll get that straight in one of these days. And we've got Eddie here. And y'all are all here to watch Mrs. Mendoza get sworn in, and that's really cool. We appreciate y'all being here. I want to thanks to everybody else that's here. Gil Robert, we're glad you're here. And Mr. Norris, nice for you to be here to keep us in line. And then the rest of staff, Diane and Kasey and Mom and Dana and Leanne, we're glad y'all are all here. Now, is there anyone in the public that would like to make any public comment? If not, then we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to administer the oath of office first.
All right. Thanks, Mayor. Mrs. Mendoza, would you like to join me up front here? Stand right there. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Lupe Mendoza,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office of
the duties of the office of
Council Member District 2
Council Member District 2
for the city of Muleshoe,
for the city of Muleshoe,
and will to the best of my ability
and to the best of my ability
will preserve, protect, and defend
will preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the constitutions and laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of the state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. If you'd like to take a seat up here, we have got your nameplate all ready for you, and we'll just place that right there for you.
I think she needs her paperwork and her,
Yeah.
Y'all need to give her the squeaky chair. All right, welcome. It's nice there. All right, now we have more of a quorum.
yes, sir.
That's good. Okay. In our agenda, the next thing we'd like to do is to receive public comment that concerns the 2017 Consumer Confidence Report. And this has to do with the municipal water supply. And I think that was available to all the public off of electronic location from their water bill. And y'all have any comments you want to make on that?
Well, actually, this just provides an opportunity for the public to ask any questions publicly to be answered. I don't know that we have anyone here that's to make public comment on that, Mayor.
We found that the water's good.
It is good.
It tastes great. So that's good enough.
And that's not by accident. There's some guys that work really
I
hard
know,
to provide that.
that's true. We really appreciate their hard work. That's one of those things that we all take for granted. You guys do a really good job of it. We appreciate it. Okay, next thing we'd like to do is to approve the minutes of the June 11th meeting of this year. I trust you all read those, and I'll make a motion we approve them.
Second.
And we have a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Next thing we'd like to do is to approve the minutes of the June 19th meeting.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second to approve those. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Then we'd like to approve the minutes of the meeting of June the 28th.
I'll make a motion.
And I'll second it. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Next thing we'd like to do is to adopt the Drought Contingency Plan. And I see that y'all all got a copy of that, and we'll let you talk about that, Leanne. Maybe see if anybody has any questions.
Thanks, Mayor. The city has had a drought contingency plan for many years, and it's been reviewed by staff on an annual basis. But now we're bringing it to council and asking you to adopt it also on an annual basis. At this time, there's no stage of our plan that's been implemented. Ramon's here. He is primarily the one who reviews that plan annually, and it's up to him. It falls under his duties to produce this document for you. So he would be happy to answer questions that you might have concerning that as well.
Self-explanatory.
Pretty much.
And we are thankful, we've not had to implement any of our new stage of our drought contingency plan. We know of cities who have. And so I think
That's another one of those things that didn't happen by accident.
that's right. That speaks highly of our
Long-range
operation.
planning,
Yes, sir.
hard work.
And keeping up with it.
Very, very fortunate to be one of the communities in this part of the country that is in good shape as far as our water production and the amount of water we can produce.
Ramon, did we have to take advantage back in 2011 of this drought contingency plan, or do you remember?
We have never implemented any kind of restrictions at all.
So, and we're not to the point where we were in 11.
We're not to that point, but we do have less water than we did back then. I mean, just like any other city, we have seen some loss.
Okay.
But correct, we're not at any kind of stage.
Okay.
If you were to look at our daily average usage this time of the year, how much more can we produce than what that average is?
The system combined can produce 4.1 million gallons a day. Our peak demand during the summer, the most you could probably, city uses about 2 million.
About two.
Right now, we're 1.2, 1.3, so we're capable of producing more than that. System's geared not to operate more than 50%. Once I get to the point that we use it, or we run our system at 50%, that's when we look at adding new wells, doing some modifications out there. So, and that's how, personally, that's how I want it. 50 to 60%, no more. So.
Well, like I say, we're very lucky to be able to do
We're
that.
very fortunate.
Some of the communities around here run that margin way too thin, and they've gotten in some trouble.
Yes.
It's really good.
So I make a motion we adopt that contingency plan.
Okay.
She seconded.
Got a motion and a second to approve that drought contingency plan. Is there any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, next thing we'd like to do is to receive comments on the council and economic development board meeting from Kasey that was held last week. And we're going to turn the floor over to you.
Well, I am going to kind of get this started while I start. As you all know, we had a joint EDC and council meeting, and I really appreciate those that were a part of that. We had some good discussion with Carlton Schwab, who is the TDC Executive Director for the state. So good discussion, and he's able to see what happens all across the state and how it may work for Muleshoe. And so, I gave y'all a little memo, just kind of wanted to cover a little bit of the basics, and you all that were there, if you want to jump in at any point, I'd be happy for you to. Basically talks about what the purpose of economic development is, and the core of that purpose is those primary jobs. So as we're looking at other options of flexibility, how that all is available, but we still go back to that primary function of the primary jobs. And to help illustrate that, I would like to take just a little bit of time and show this quick video the Amarillo EDC did, and I think it's a really good illustration of what we're talking about there.
Economic development, industry diversification, recycled revenue, primary business? Do any of these terms really make sense to any of us? Probably not. Economic theories and principles aren't really the things we typically post about on Instagram. We see these as ideas for someone in a tweed jacket sitting in a dusty office surrounded by hardbound books. We don't think about them as being important in our daily lives. But we at the AEDC beg to differ. These principles shape where and how we live. And believe it or not, they're not that complicated. We can teach you a little bit about how your local economy works and why you should pay attention. Let's talk about the flow of money and how it impacts your local economy. A local economy is a simple geographic area where the vast majority of the people live and work. The boundary of this local economy is mainly determined by the commuting patterns of the people in the area. The location and number of jobs within an area determine how big geographically this economy will be. Now, imagine all of the wealth of this local economy is contained in a single bucket. It swirls around and around like it's being churned with a mixer. It goes from person to person, business to business, and person to business. Money is exchanged in each transaction, and the money recycles through over and over. But there's a hole in this bucket where the wealth of the community is leaking out. Did you buy a car last year? While some of that money does remain local, a good share of the purchase price is returned to Detroit or wherever the car was made. Every time you purchase a shirt or a pair of shoes, money leaves the community and goes to the city where the product was made or the service is being performed. No matter how big or small, money is continuously leaving the community through this hole in the bucket. Now you may be asking yourself, but I thought money was being exchanged from business to business. Wouldn't that stop the leak? Unfortunately, it doesn't. Most businesses are consumptive in nature, meaning they rely upon the local marketplace to earn their profits. Consumptive businesses include doctors, restaurants, and movie theaters. Almost 95% of the businesses in most communities are consumptive businesses. If they want to increase their share of the money in the bucket, they need money to stay in the bucket and grow. So, how do you stop the leak? Well, you can't stop it entirely. Instead, what a community needs is to add money to its economic bucket, replenishing the supply. A source, like a faucet at the top of the bucket, needs to be turned on, rejuvenating the wealth so that the churning process can continue. A local economy's faucet is a specific type of business known as a primary business. New wealth is brought to a community by the business activity of these primary businesses located within your local economy. A primary business is one that sells its goods or services outside of the area, importing money to the local area. That car you bought last year, the primary business in that transaction is the factory it was manufactured in. The bottle of wine you picked up for dinner, the primary business in that transaction is the vineyard where the grapes were grown and the wine was bottled.
When communities are able to find a healthy balance between consumptive and primary businesses, the faucet can fill the bucket faster than the money can leak out. As a result, the local economy is stabilized and new wealth is created. The retail sector can expand and add new boutiques and new restaurants. The service sector grows and adds businesses like art galleries, yoga studios, and salons. A balanced, stable economy is the goal of all economic development institutions. And just like that, you've learned a little bit about economic development and the flow of money in a local economy.
So I just think that's a really good description of what we're talking about when we're talking about primary jobs. So as we move forward and continue having the discussion of what flexible options we'll have, I think that's just a good tool to keep in the back of our mind there. So I think balance was a good word in that video with how we move forward. And any of y'all that were in that meeting, I'd love to hear from you and what your thoughts were. But like I said, the EDC will continue to do some due diligence and kind of figure out what those what's the word I'm looking for there, Leanne? Those steps to move forward in this process. Yes, so I'd be happy to visit with any of y'all if y'all have any further questions. I think as far as EDC is concerned, I think workforce development will continue to be a huge topic, and we talked about that a little in that meeting, but I think switching to a Type B would offer some flexibility that we don't have now, but there's a lot of moving pieces before we get to that point. So I don't know if y'all have any questions, or if y'all that were there want to add anything, or Leanne or anybody.
Kasey, we were there at the meeting and we talked a bit about A versus B on what's the phrase I'm trying to say?
Type A or Type B?
Type A or Type B, yes, and it was explained a little bit to us about what that entailed, and then you said just now workforce development.
Yes.
And I thought at the meeting we all agreed that that was a priority.
Yes.
That this area needed to focus on.
Absolutely, and that's something I kind of have a passion for in this job. I think it's important to continue to grow our own and have valuable jobs here, and that means having skilled labor. And so anything we can do to help that process, I would be in favor of. So anyways, I just kind of wanted to give y'all an update in case you weren't able to make that meeting. And like I said, we are continuing to work diligently to find good information and how to move forward with that to give us a little more flexibility. Is that it?
In your letter, you said that your EDC will bring us a recommendation one way or the other to the next council meeting?
I believe that is the timeline we are working towards.
Good.
Actually, if we're going to make a change, if council chooses to do that, that election would be ordered at the next council meeting in August. And so there's some work to be done on the part of the EDC board prior to that, before that comes to council to actually order that election. And then to figure out, we're going to have some conversations with the public. This is, their vote. And so we want them to be well educated before it comes election day.
Sure. It'll take some education and some time. Maybe a few coffee and donut meetings and, public places where we can invite the public to come in.
We want them to be well informed because this is an important decision for our community.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kasey.
Okay. Next thing we would like to do is to receive the financial statement and investment summary for the quarter ending June the 30th. I trust you'll all review that, and I'll make a motion we approve that.
A second.
And we have a second. Is there any questions or discussion? If not, All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. That brings us to administrative report.
Thanks, Mayor. First, we want to congratulate and say thank you to the Chamber of Commerce. We had another successful July 4th celebration. It was a great day to be in Muleshoe, Texas. Thanks to the Public Works Department for all the work that they put in. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes work that they do to accomplish that day and make that day go smoothly. Police Department, the Fire Department, I thought the fireworks that night were just spectacular. It was a great day to be in Muleshoe. Our next movie in the park will be next Thursday on July the 19th. We're going to be seeing Peter Rabbit that night. So should be a fun night to be at the park, so we invite everyone to come out for that. And then the Muleshoe Country Club's Mule Days and Kickin Nights was held on June the 30th. Another successful event, and thanks to everyone who, all the combined efforts that put that on and made that come together. So we have a meeting actually this Thursday evening that we'll get final numbers and kind of see where we came out on that. So looking forward to receiving that information.
Leanne,
Yes.
when you give that report at the next meeting on how
Yes.
this came out and everything, I understood that part of the money that we used for the fireworks display was donated from the band, that was some of the bands that was in this. Is there any truth to that? That's just coffee shop.
For July 4th?
Some of
We're out at the concert. Did y'all get any
No.
donations?
I'm sorry?
Was there any donations from?
I may have
Actually-
misunderstood. I thought some of the money that had been donated back from the bands was used for the fireworks July 4th.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Not to my, I'm not saying that didn't happen, but to my knowledge, I don't think so. As far as the fireworks that happened out at Mule Days and Kickin Nights, the committee actually budgeted for some of that. The fire department actually put some money towards those fireworks, as well as the July 4th fireworks. Our local fire department did some of that.
They did an excellent job.
Yeah, they did.
Thanks, Ron, for all the work your guys did, because it's another one of those things they take for granted. And they don't really see all the things that go on behind the scenes, so I really appreciate that.
Then I want council to know that our police chief search continues. I'm hoping to set up personal interviews in the next couple of weeks. So we're working right now on background checks and some of those kind of things. So that's moving forward. And then finally, council remembers we budgeted for a new dump truck for the Public Works Department, and we look for that to be delivered sometime this week. So looking forward to that.
Do we all get to ride around in it?
Probably not. I think they have work to do with that.
If you want to come on down. and do that.
All right, well, that's good.
And that's all I have, Mayor.
All right.
Thank you.
The council have anything?
No.
Yeah, Ramon, did we talk? I had a guy that was interested to see if Muleshoe had any old dirt dump trucks that they had that would be for sale or something, or did we discuss this?
Sir, but we don't at this time.
We don't, okay. He saw those two down at the old McDonald's, and he is manager of one of the feed yards, local feed yards, and he was interested if we had any extra or any.
Those down there belong to the county,
Okay,
but we don't have any at this
city
time.
doesn't have any.
No, sir.
And then also, I wanted to say, I was part of the group in the parade, the motorcycle riders, and we felt fortunate enough to get to be towards the first of the parade, which usually doesn't happen, but then we weren't close enough to the first to actually know what was going on when they were having the Star Spangled Banner and all this and all the stuff, and we were back there kind of just standing, kind of waiting and kind of bored, and so we were revving our motors and our engines and was kind of blasting out what was going on at front, and there was no intention of, you know, making such a big noise that people couldn't hear the national anthem or anything like that. It was totally,
Totally innocent.
innocent,
You know how those people are.
Yeah, this guy over here's revving his motor, I gotta rev mine, you know, it's just, I'm like, we didn't realize that was going on until it was too late. So I apologize for that incident.
Glad the motorcycles were there though.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was a great parade. It's.
I'm glad they put you in
the
front of
parade continues
horses,
to
too.
grow.
yeah, it's true.
That's cool.
Thank you.
It was. I didn't get to come, but we were working, but I heard lots of good things about the parade.
I actually heard a lady behind me say something about, oh, you know, small town parades. And by the time the parade was over, she was really bragging and she was really impressed that Muleshoe would put on a parade like that.
And we were down at the park that night by the basketball court where we always go, and there were some people who came in and brought the chairs and sat down, and they were from out of town. And when it was over, they were leaving, and I asked them if it was worth the drive, and they said, oh, yes. They said it was great.
And we had a lot of out-of-town people in town that day.
Pretty cool.
And you talk about small town parades, which we take for granted. I called my dad that morning, and he lives outside of Hereford, and I said, well, you guys gonna go to the parade? And he said, they don't do that. And I said, are you kidding me? You know, Hereford. He said, no, not that I know of. I don't think they do that anymore. I said, well, then you'll probably go to Develoment, because he graduated from Develoment High. And he said, no, they don't do that anymore. And I thought,
Tell them to come on to Muleshoe.
yeah, really. I said, next year we'll come pick you up.
Yes.
And you can come to Muleshoe and we'll do the parade.
Cool.
The Chamber did a great job that day. We appreciate their work.
Very
Thanks
much.
to everybody that was involved in the parade. It was cool. And a lot of the out-of-town people that came and joined me and made it nice. Yeah. Anybody else? Did get a thank you note from the Bailey County Child Welfare Board. Wanted to thank the public for their generous donations at the National Day of Prayer and them being a part of their 5K run to help them make money to make the Child Welfare Board function like it's supposed to. And they want to thank everybody for that. So that's cool. All right. So what we're going to do now is take about a 5-minute break. And then we're going to have a budget work session. Now, those of you that are guests, we want to say thank you for being here. And if you would rather not sit through a budget workshop, I can understand that totally. It's not really exciting and it's not very colorful, and so you're welcome to do whatever you would like. Thank you for being here. We're going to take a 5-minute break. And we'll.
Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, my pleasure.